Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. In this and the next few sections we're going to take our last look at aspects of the organizer. We're particularly going to look at the three tabs that we haven't considered at all so far: people, places and events. But in addition to that, I'm going to tell you about stacks. That's the subject I'm going to cover in this particular section. I'm going to show you an alternative way of searching your catalogue, and I'm going to cover one other, if you like, administrative task of the organizer, and that's how to reconnect files when they get disconnected and you start getting problems with the organizer being able to find your media. This section is about stacks, so let's get started. The main catalogue that I've been using on the course, my Tobii New catalogue, is not a particularly large catalogue. It's got about 160 images in it at the moment and a few projects. But as your catalogues get bigger and bigger, it becomes harder and harder to find things, particularly if you rely to a large extent on just scrolling through to find a particular image or group of images. One way that you can reduce the apparent size of your catalogue is to stack similar images together. So for instance, going back to the Steam car here, I might decide that it would be a lot easier to find the Steam car pictures if I just had a stack of them somewhere in the catalogue, and having identified the stack, I could then look at the individual images. That would also make my catalogue appear to be significantly smaller. The main point about stacks to remember is that you can stack together any images that you want to stack together. There doesn't have to be any kind of relationship between them. One doesn't need to be an edited version of the other. They don't need to have been taken on the same day with the same camera for that matter. And they may be completely different. One could be people inside and the other one could be trees outside. You can stack together any images that you want. Having said that, most people that use stacks stack similar images together, or images that in some way are best identified as a group or a set that are related to each other. Stacking images is easy. Let's say that I'm going to stack the Steam car pictures. So I'm going to select the first one, hold the Shift key down and select the last one so that all of the images in between are selected. Right click on any one of them, there's a stack menu, and I'm going to say stack selected photos, and those images are now in a stack. There's a tiny little icon as usual. This is the stack icon, and all I can see is one of the images, the top image. I've got an expand button on the right there, so if I click on that little button, there are the individual elements of the stack again. And then of course if I want to stack them back, the opposite icon is at the end of the stacked images there. So click that and they're back in a stack again. It's as easy as that. And in a way that's quite similar to the way that version sets work, of course. If I wanted to make a particular picture the top one, if I right click on it, go to stack, I can say set as top photo, and that's now the top photo in my stack. So when I collapse, that's the one that I see. You won't be surprised, I'm sure, by most of the options that are available to you with stacks. The images are currently stacked and collapsed. If I right click on the top one, go to the stack menu, I've got unstack photos, so basically stop them being stacked. That's not expand photos, that's stop them being stacked. There is an expand photos in stack option, which is the same as clicking the expand button. And then you have flatten stack, which is of course quite a dangerous option. So you get a warning there. All photos except the top photo in the stack will be deleted. I'm not going to do that at the moment, but that's basically what happens if you flatten a stack. If I expand the stack again, right click on one of the images, again the stack menu, you've got particularly remove photo from stack, and that's the option you use if you just want to remove a single photo from the stack. At this point you may be saying, well, why didn't you tell me all this before? Because I've captured thousands of photos and these stacks look like a really good idea. I've got to go through now and stack them all. This is going to take ages. Well, if that's actually happened, PSE has another very useful tool which I'm going to demonstrate next. And that is that you can ask PSE 15 to suggest stacks for you. And what it will do is go through your whole catalogue, and based on visual similarity, and bear in mind that stacks don't have to be based on visual similarity, it will suggest photo stacks for you. So let's try that next. I'm going to ask PSE to check out my whole catalogue. So what I'm going to do first of all is to change the view so that I only have my photos. Now this won't cause PSE a problem if you don't do that, it's just a little bit neater if you do. And now I'm going to select all of the images, which I can do using the keyboard shortcut Control A on a PC, Command A on a Mac. I've got all of my images selected, and then on the Edit menu, on the Stack Flyout menu, there is an option Automatically Suggest Photo Stacks. What that will do is to visually analyze all of these selected images. Bear in mind that I don't have to select all of the images in the catalogue if I don't want to, but all the ones that are selected, and it will suggest photo stacks. Depending on the size of the catalogue, this may take a while to do. So when I click this, if it's going to take a bit of time, I'll stop and resume when it's finished putting together its suggestions. And there are its suggestions. Now notice that in each row that's a suggested stack, and at the end of that row there is an option to stack the images in that row. Note also the zoom slider up here, which gives you the facility to increase or decrease the size of the thumbnails in each of the stack suggestions. So let's suppose that the very first suggestion there I like. I click on stack. They are now stacked. Suppose I like the second one as well, and the third one. And basically I go through all of the suggestions and stack the ones that I want to stack. At the bottom there's a selection of unique photos. These are ones with no visual similarity to anything else. Bear in mind that there may well be images here, such as that one, that look like candidates to go into one of these suggested stacks. So PSE 15 isn't going to do a perfect job on this, but it's worth reviewing those unique photos to see if any of them have escaped from a suggested stack. If you change your mind about the whole thing, click on cancel, but once you're done, click on done. Now as you can see, I've got a number of stacks now, more than I had before, although I only adopted 3 of the suggestions that PSE made. If you take the first 2 stacks, let me select that stack, hold the control key down, select that stack. If I right click, I could stack those 2 stacks. One or more of the photos in the selection is already in a stack. All the photos from that stack will be added to the selection. Click on OK, and now I've got a sort of super stack, if you like. If I expand that stack, I get all of the images that were in either of the 2 stacks that I stacked. That's another important point to bear in mind. That's stacks. I'll see you in the next section.